Hello.
So, Alex de Fusto from BigCommerce. I'm one of the sales managers in the UK. We've got the pleasure of having Lee from Perla with us, who I'll ask to introduce himself in a second. 15 minutes only, so it's a spitfire. So in the words of my boss, it's a good meeting, it's a quick meeting, Alex. We'll have to get on with it. And let's make a start right. So, Lee, thank you for joining us. I think first ultimate question, obvious question, is please introduce Perla and talk a little bit around high-level e-com strategy.
Okay. Is this on? Can you hear me? Great. Hi, so my name's Lee. I'm the head of e-commerce development at Perla. That's the IT development, not the business development. And I'm a techie through and through, but I'll try to keep this more business focused. So Perla, we make bras and knickers, basically. Have done for almost 70 years. I joined Perla in April 2020, and when I joined, I was told that it was like a 70-year-old startup or a 67-year-old startup. The history of the company is actually quite interesting. It was founded back in 1954 by a lady called Ada Mazzotti, who was based in Bologna, and she wanted to design corsetry for women, and it was made by women. And Bologna was quite popular with, I think it was renowned for silk production. So that was the origins. It was a product for women, designed by women, made by women, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And over the next 7 decades, they diversified. They didn't just do corsetry, they didn't just do lingerie, they did children, they did home, and they did men's. I think they also did shoes. And I think, because I thought men's, I've never thought of Perla doing men's lingerie or anything, but apparently in the James Bond film, Casino Royale, there's a scene when Daniel Craig comes out of the water wearing these blue swim trunks, and they are Perla swim trunks. We don't make them now, and I don't think I would fit in them. So, it's not all bad. But we've gone through quite a few changes of ownership over the years, and the company's been bought and sold a few times. And in 2018, it was sold to an investment company who decided that they would transform the organisation. So they moved the head office function to London, and they embarked on a huge digital transformation programme. And it was going quite well until COVID came along, and then it changed the way in which people shopped. They didn't visit the boutiques. We didn't have tourists visiting European cities and buying our products, and e-com became very much a focus. But there was a slight problem. Hang on, I've got to get my timeline right here. Before, it coincided, I should say, with the demise of Magento, and Perla was on Magento 1. So, actually, should we do that later? Actually, no. I'll tell you a bit more about Perla. Sorry, I'm getting flustered here. So sorry. You said what's our high-level e-com strategy? So the thing is that when you go into a boutique, you feel that you're the only customer in the world. They show you the product, they tell you about the product, you can feel the product, you can try it on, you can see if it fits, you can see what you look like in it, and ultimately, when you go online, you lose all of that. All of that customer experience disappears, all of that knowledge disappears, and therefore, when COVID hit and we started closing boutiques, we started pushing traffic online, we started realising that the customer experience online wasn't the same as the customer experience in store. So our high-level e-com strategy at the moment is to really try and bridge that gap, trying to deliver a luxury customer experience online, but that's also retail. And trying to balance luxury and retail is a challenge. If we do something that's too retail, the marketing department say, no, you can't do that. If we do it too luxury, then the e-com team say, we're not making the sales. So striking that balance is a challenge for us at the moment. I'm trying to think what else.
But if you don't mind, we hear that from quite a lot of retailers, right? That balance between brand first, high net worth buyers versus more retail transactional buyers. Maybe you don't want to cannibalize either, and it's finding that right balance. I think we were talking yesterday on how you go about trying to find the right balance. Do you want to talk to that for a little bit?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. The personalization aspect is something that we're very keen to explore. We saw a session earlier today about personalization, and I've got my own views of what it is. But for me, I'm a man. I don't wear women's lingerie. When I go to the site, my information needs are completely different to the information needs of a woman who might be buying for herself. If you're buying for yourself, it might be about the size and the fit and the comfort and the durability and how you can wash it and how you can care for it. For the man, is she going to be pleased with this gift? I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. Am I going to get brownie points by buying this for my mother or my lover? I suppose is the thing. So I think what we need to do in terms of enriching that customer experience is when we're on an acquisition path. So when people visit our website, we need to quickly identify who they are, and we don't ask them up front. So I think what we're planning on doing is trying to look at the behaviour through the website, the sections that they look at, how often they look at them, how often they come back to them, the links they check, and try and feed that in to maybe put some call-outs and some prompts, and to try and encourage them to sort of, to funnel them down a certain path. And therefore, you need to be responsive. You need to be reactive. You can't just build something and it will sit there for 6 months. We have to build something that's agile, and we have to be, quite rapid application development, whatever you want to call it.
And I'm sure a homepage or a PDP, depending on what segment that is very different depending on who you are, right? Which is why a lot of people in this room today are around search personalization in the new world of e-commerce at the end of the day. Yeah,
no, absolutely. The things for us, product discovery is key. I mean, someone said it earlier, it's not about the search, it's about the find. You want customers to be able to find the products that they want to buy. We have sometimes tried to, we have done some experimentation, actually, and some of the experimentation that we've done has been, little things like the carousels. When we have it automatically generated by the system, some people click on them. When we curate the carousel choice, people will engage with them. But what we've recently started trying was an artificial intelligence-based product suggestion tool. It was interesting. We got a significant increase in conversion. But when we looked back, we used quantum metric for our customer experience analytics. When we looked back at the replays, what we found was that the people weren't always buying the products that were being suggested in the carousels. They were using it as a sort of an affirmation that the product they had already chosen was the right one, and this alternative was actually a good second, but it wasn't the one they wanted to purchase. So that's been interesting.
Yeah, I bet. And you kind of touched on it earlier. The older platform you were on, you've gone from what is typically known in the industry from a monolithic platform to the new world of best-of-breed API first.
Yes.
Most people want to say, how do you approach it? Because it's not easy, right? So how did you approach it? And talk us a little bit about that. And then typically follow-up question would always be, are you actually getting any benefit from it? And give us some examples around some of the benefit.
Yeah, so as I alluded to a minute ago, we were on Magento 1, and Magento needed replacing by June 2020 because it was old technology, still is in my opinion. But moving from Magento 1 to Magento 2 required replatforming, and if they're going to replatform, you could replatform to anything. So they looked at the market, this was just before I joined, and they chose BigCommerce, and they chose it for time and delivery and for cost of ownership and for a stepping stone towards the use of composable technology. As I said, there was this huge digital transformation project that was underway, and although they hadn't decided exactly the direction they were going, although they hadn't decided how they were going to quite get there, they knew the direction of travel, and BigCommerce would help them on that journey. When we, when we did the migration, it only took 6 months. So December, I think we signed with BigCommerce in November, December 2019, and the site was live in June 2020. It took 3 months to actually build the store itself, the storefront. And we didn't just build one storefront, we built 13 storefronts initially. They all use the same theme. They use a search and merch tool to pull in products on the product listing pages. We were able to change the currency, change the size options. We were able to localize for the different markets that we had. Everything that I think I've mentioned this to you before, actually, that one of the things for the first 9 months, because we put BigCommerce in so quickly, we didn't have time to adapt all of our legacy systems that had taken decades of Magento customizations. So for the first 9 months, we imported all of our BigCommerce orders into Magento. and then process the fulfillment of them as if they had been Magento orders. Well, that had to end, and we removed Magento completely when we switched to using Globally as our cross-border sales platform. And when we did that, that also enabled us to suddenly open up to 80-odd new markets. Okay, and we were able, on a single store, to dynamically change the currency for those markets. But one thing we learned was that localization is more than just having a product in the local language or having it in the right currency. So, for example, in Australia, it's approaching their winter right now, whereas we're approaching our summer. So we decided we had significant traffic going to our global store, shopping in Australian dollars, shipping to Australia. So we decided we needed an Australian point of presence. We needed an Australian store, and we spun up an Australian store within a week. Copied the theme across, populated the catalogue, and bang, it was live. And it was just seamless. All we had to do was change the country switcher to now route traffic to that site, and that was one of the benefits that we got by having something that was API friendly. We were able to just hook in the product catalogue directly into the store without any real effort.
And we talk to many merchants who have ideas like that, international with different brands, and they say what can hold them back is I don't want to have to go through building a whole new bloody e-commerce store, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that again is why we've chosen to use the same store, pretty much the same thing. But we have the benefit. We have, in the lingerie side of things, we have a BigCommerce storefront, but it's a semi-headless storefront because what we've done is we have injected components, like I said, with search and merch. We've got the AI product suggestion. We use extensive use of GraphQL to create the illusion of single products when actually we're pulling together product details from about 5 or 6 different sources and building them together and then outputting them in one go. I think the other thing for us, we do have a beauty division which does cosmetics and fragrance, and we have a separate store for that. And that one is purely headless. It's still based on BigCommerce, but it uses Content Stack as its CMS, and it's hosted on Netlify, and it's completely different. So it's given us a taste. We can see how now, looking at both platforms, where we can go with it.
And if I can ask, and this is way off script, so I'm putting you on the spot for this, but I bet quite a few people in this room have probably asked the same question of out-of-the-box storefront from any e-com provider versus headless, and you've chosen both for different use cases, different brands, and that comes back to the optionality we want to give you. But talk to us about your decision point around going headless for the beauty brand and maybe why.
I think initially it was a toe dipping exercise because, as I said, the direction of travel was to go to sort of more of a Mac architecture for everything. But the thing was, it was a greenfield site, and with therefore we could design beauty at outset of how we exactly wanted it to work. We would know all of the limitations that we would have to work with. Whereas with lingerie, there was a. I'll give you an example. Beauty have got, 8 or 9 fragrances. They've got quite a few cosmetics. It's quite a small product set. Lingerie, because of the seasonality, every 6 months we've got different products coming out. Our BigCommerce store might only have maybe 600 to 1,000 active products right now, but the catalogue behind it has maybe got 5,000 products because the products sell through. And then we close them down. And those products have been hosted on legacy systems that have got disparate stock codes, and they've got strange colour. We had 130 different colours, which we've now tried to reduce down to about 6. But we had 130 different colours. So I think the thing is that on the lingerie side, the challenges were more data related, and using the storefront just meant that we could focus on data and focus on things like that. Whereas with beauty, it was a much cleaner, easier, smaller project, self-contained, start to finish, much easier to do.
Okay, that's understandable then. So wrapping it up, you've been through a journey on many platforms. You're now on BigCommerce, 16 storefronts, 16 countries, headless in some scenarios, storefront out of the box in others. One question would obviously be, now knowing what you know, and you made a smile when you say that, is what would you do differently? One piece of advice that we do differently after the journey you've been on.
So I think one of the reasons we did beauty as a headless platform was because there was this understanding that composable technology is just for the rich kids, and it's a big project, and it's multi-million, and it's going to take 2 years to do. And therefore we procrastinated. We spent time, although we made the stepping stone with BigCommerce, we spent time analysing, doing all of that. And then when after COVID, when the focus of our digital transformation projects changed, everything was kind of put on ice. And on the basis that we still had to wait for that time when we could do it all. And I think the thing I've learned is that you don't have to wait. You can actually just look at what's broken and just fix it now, and gradually piece together small pieces, and eventually, as long as you're going in the right direction, there will be a point at which everything will be singing and everything will be working together.
So maybe if I paraphrase, there's never a perfect coordinates that syncs everything up. Take a little bit of risk, microtransactions, micro movements, and test and learn and innovate and agile, right? Instead of waiting for the perfect storm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree.